Welcome back, everybody, to the Who Do You Like Here podcast. Joey Cino with me, as always, is the kid. Recapping a little bit from last week's ticket, and then we're going to jump over to Gulfstream. First time going to Gulfstream this year for the championship meet. So, kid, how you doing this fine morning?
I'm okay. A little tired this morning. Usually, you catch me when I'm, midway through my day. Now we're
Yeah,
running in the morning. So
we're flipping the script today, doing a morning podcast versus an evening podcast. So I don't know if that's better or worse for me.
yeah, I guess we'll see in terms of our picks. I mean, I did make my selections in the evening, so my
Yeah,
brain
I know.
power was there. So I think the
Picks are
picks will be
already
fine.
in, so
Yeah,
it's really the either the morning vibe. So you got the coffee working there. What's your mug say?
it's a Batman mug. So there's trouble brewing.
Okay, all right, I'll go with that. Yeah, morning coffee and picks and horses. Doing this on a Friday morning for the Saturday card. I want to recap last week real quick. First time we did a pick six, and I don't know how long. What, a couple years?
Yeah, I don't know. I can't tell you the last time I did a pick six.
Yeah, it's basically been pick fives that we've been doing on the podcast, but struggle early in the first couple races. We did get some prices with Built, which, by the way, Jareth coming on and then getting that win. That's
Like clockwork.
right. It just works every time on that Saturday. At least one win, right?
At least,
Now,
yeah.
I would say that most of the jockeys that we've had on for interviews, they have more than one mount. It's not like we're talking to a jockey that has one mount and he wins that mount. But I mean, we're talking to jockeys that have several mounts on the day, but at least they win on that Saturday.
Right. They come back after the podcast and I win. Yeah.
Yeah, and I thought it might be. I mean, Jarrett's having a great meet, obviously at Fairgrounds, but I had thought, man, I don't know, because he had that big 3 out of 4 day, the day we recorded, and he had some live shots. So I'm like, well, I'm sure he'll pull one out, and sure enough, he obviously did, and won the opener on Saturday, which is always nice. Just get it out the way.
Yep. First one.
But in the pick six, we had Built, which was a decent price in a smaller field to start off the pick six. Next race, Bear River, that was your pick. I think we talked on the podcast. I had to toss somebody, and that's definitely one that I tossed off my ticket. But you definitely had him on your selection, which that was also a nice price at about 6-1.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Good one.
Yep. Then we had the single Saudi Crown. We both like Saudi Crown, and that's where you could really cut down the ticket, and that was the angle to go with.
That was definitely the single of the pick six or pick five if you were playing it.
Yep, definitely the single for sure, and it paid that way too as well at 420. Then we followed that up with Gigante, which was another chalk. Wasn't I believe it was 9-5 is what it went off at. Asmussen and Jose Ortiz, so that one kind of fit. We both had that one in the mix. Her laugh winning the next race, that was Axel Concepcion. That was a nice 6-1 price. And then fishing up, I think this is what really kind of brought in the price, was the 9-1 shot. After they scratched the first time it started, that I liked, and your 12 coming in second were Cromwell. So if you had it going in, you definitely had the last two, because it was our top two picks came first and second. It was a 8-1 shot on the morning line that went off at 10-1, and your 12 was also 8-1. So a couple nice price horses to finish up the card. Wrap up your pick six, which paid quite well actually for the card. No complaints.
Yeah, it was a good start. It was a good Saturday for Fairgrounds, and I think even if you just played some of the vertical wagering, and I think it was beneficial to anybody that watched it through our picks in there, or, had some inkling. I think you won kind of both ways if you did.
Yeah, I mean, just looking at some of the try payouts that, and even with the favorites and the chalks that we're talking about, like with Gigante, that was a $105 try. Your Bear River was a very nice try for $193 on a 50-cent wager, and even in the last leg, in leg 12, another nice payout, obviously with 2-8-1. So if you were playing the verticals, you could also catch some nice tickets as well.
I think the only short price was Saudi Crown, which everybody kind of knew was going to happen. So
Yeah, but
how
I
much.
understand though. Your pick 5 and pick 6 still pay decent with basically
Yeah,
two chalks and back to
yeah,
back legs there with Saudi Crown and Gigante. So if you went that route
yep,
and were able to spread, hopefully you listen and you cash on some of those longer price picks. Kind of why we do
yep,
it.
yep, exactly.
Not too much going on this week's Santa Anita opening weekend. Any thoughts on Santa Anita for you?
Um,
You like playing Santa Anita. That's like one of your favorite tracks.
I did like playing Santa Anita. It's really bet Juan Hernandez or Antonio Frisu at this point. Those
Yeah,
two are the top guys. um,
top jocks.
yeah, top jockeys. Rispoli's kind of having a resurgence, but that was at Del Mar. I don't know if he's going to be the same at Santa Anita. I like betting Rispoli on turf. Really, I feel like he's just really good on turf in comparison to the dirt. Um,
Yeah, I
yeah,
think
I
he's
mean,
a
I
better
think
turf rider.
yeah,
Definitely.
I don't really have too many angles for that. It's kind of just fly by the seat of my pants when I do bet there and watch Santa Anita racing. Combinations I look out as like Mario Gutierrez and Doug
Doug
O'Neill.
O'Neill.
Yeah, they
Right.
they team up. That's like a combination that can pay pretty decent. Antonio looks like he rides kind of for everybody. It doesn't really look like he's got any favorites. And then same thing with Juan Hernandez. He kind of rides for everybody too, But
Yeah.
um, yeah, I mean, yeah, it's an interesting meet. I think I'm going to be focusing more on Gulfstream than I am Santa Anita, just because the fields are going to be a lot better and bigger.
That's kind of what we have been doing for at least the last couple of years. It's really this is the championship meet time. We really focus on Gulfstream. We get through Pegasus before we even kind of shift any kind of gears. Uh, we pretty much are Gulfstream through the winter months.
Yeah, I mean, you're
Um,
getting the top jockeys there. I mean, Irad's there. You're getting Johnny V's there. Who else is there on Saturday?
Edgar Zayas is there,
Edgar
obviously.
Junior Alvarado's there. Size is there.
Tyler's there.
Tyler's there. Um, yeah, I mean, Dylan Davis is going to be there after the new year.
Yep.
He's going to be there. The only one that we're really missing out of the bunch is Jose, who's I
Jose.
don't think is going to be moving back to Gulfstream anytime soon with the success he's having at Fairgrounds. I saw that he's in the money at like 68%
Yeah.
or
He was
64%.
63 or something
Yeah,
percent.
and
Yeah.
he's won 25 of his 60 mounts, something like that. So he's just like at 42% or something like that.
Yeah.
I would say that him moving to the Midwest, or I guess you could say the South now, was a good choice for him because of the success that he's having and how much he's kind of staking his claim out there in Kentucky and in Louisville and in Louisiana.
Yeah. Great career choice for him to spread his wings and go to Kentucky, which panned out for him, and it's working well for him at Fairgrounds as well.
Yep.
Success, but he's always been a good jockey. I think it's hard to. Maybe it's just the brother comparison. Maybe it's constantly having to be, the Irad Jose Ortiz brothers battle, because he's always competing near the top. And I mean, I think there's an argument there to say Jose's a better rider than Irad if you look at some of the mounts that he gets. I think so.
No way.
I
No
think
way.
so.
No way.
I think so.
No.
Really, you don't think at all?
No shot. No.
I mean, don't you agree though that Irad gets a lot more easier chalk favorites than Jose did when he
Yeah,
was in
but
the same colony?
he gets the better mounts, I'm sure, but that's because he is the better jockey.
What
It's kind
makes
of
him a better jockey is percentages and numbers. So with Jose, what I'm saying is with Jose going now, Jose's getting the top opportunities for some of these Asmussen horses and some of the main trainers that Irad would get if he were at fair, not Gulfstream, but like Fairgrounds or any other track. Now he's getting that same kind of respect as like Irad did being the top jockey.
All right. You've got your choice of Irad or Jose to put on your horse. Who are you
Yeah.
taking? If it takes you this long to think,
That's kind of a loaded. That's kind of a loaded
no. If
question.
it takes you this long to think, then you're going crazy because it's
Well,
Irad.
no, I think there are some things to consider. It's not just about like picking a jockey that's available. Like I think that's kind of that would never happen. First off, that never happened if I have a horse my jockey can't ride, and both of those are available. That's never going to come down to it. If I have a horse now, who am I going to pick to ride the horse, and where it's? I guess it's where it's at. Because if it's at a track that Irad's not the main jockey at, if it's not like in Keeneland, then I probably would go with Jose.
That's crazy.
Because he doesn't ride it. No, it's not crazy.
That's crazy.
That's not crazy at all.
That's crazy. I think
Irad doesn't win every race he's on. He doesn't win every horse that he's on, and he loses a lot more with great opportunities than I think. I think there's something there if you look at
how many Eclipse Awards does Jose
have? What's the value of how often does he lose on favorites, and how often does he win on long shots? Like Jose's on the board at least. You just gave the numbers there, or I think he's a better jockey when it comes to hitting the board and price wise.
At Fairgrounds, right? I mean, at Fairgrounds,
he's not getting those opportunities in New York because of Irad.
But I mean, he does get decent opportunities. He gets all Linda's horses because obviously he's
but
married into the family.
Linda doesn't have all the best horses in Ira though.
She did a couple of years ago. But I'm saying in terms of how many Eclipse Awards does Jose have?
Now you want to base it off of awards. I mean, you want to base it off Irad. I think I don't think there's any kind of like formula you race top jockeys. I mean, you got to be versatile. You got to be able to run on grass. You got to be able to run on dirt. You got to be able to run sprints. You got to be able to run routes. You got to be able to go to different tracks and be able to win on different horses. You should be able, if you're a great jockey, you should be able to win on a horse that you've never even ridden before and just can read off the form and know how it's supposed to act. Like if you're a great jockey. So
crazy.
I'll take Jose over Irad.
That's crazy.
I'll take
you were out. I remember a couple podcasts ago, maybe.
No, not a couple. This is 2 years ago when he was in his drought.
Maybe refresh my memory. I believe somebody was out on Jose and said that he was not in the upper echelon of jockeys.
He was on a slump. He went on such a bad ride with top horses at that time. But I think he was trying to figure things out for himself. So I like where he's at now. There's no way I wouldn't take him side by side, him and Irad going up, depending on the horses, because that's what you're really going off of, not the jockey. But I think he's a better jockey than Irad.
All right, what about at Churchill? Saez, Tyler, or Jose? Who are you taking? You get to pick either one of the three.
That's different. They're all good. I'm not. It's a loaded question to say something like that because I'd have to read a form and see the horse. It's not just the jockey. Who's got the chalk? Give me that. Who's the favorite?
It's your horse. No, it's your horse.
Oh, and I have a decision on who I'm going to
pick. Whoever you want. Yeah.
It's still a loaded question. I don't like it. Tyler's one of the best. Tyler's been the best jockey, one of the best jockeys in all the Kentucky tracks. Jose had a great year, and the two of them tied on wins. So I think they both
I would say at Churchill, if I had a speed horse or a horse that needs to go, if I have a horse that needs to go to the front, win on the front end, I'm probably picking Saez.
Yeah.
If I have a horse that can sit stalking and close to the lead and then close, I'm probably picking Tyler. If I've got a horse that's probably 12-1 that might be able to hit the board, I'll probably take Jose.
Yeah, Again, it's situational. I think every horse or every jockey is going to be a situational opportunity, and that's kind of what you want to base it off of. You can't just say who would you take.
Now,
then you're just going off statistics.
If Irad was there, and I had an opportunity to take Irad, I'd probably say Irad no matter what.
No, I wouldn't.
That would be me. I'm just saying.
Okay, that would be you, and you probably would lose.
He's the best jockey in the country, bar none. He's the best jockey.
Statistically, he is. He probably also gets the most mounts out of anybody. I mean, you could argue if you want to go off grade 1 wins that Johnny V is the best jockey in any colony that he rides in.
At one point, he probably was.
Category. So
at one point, he probably was the best jockey in the colony.
Same thing currently right now, he still is. Grade 1 wins, he's got the most. So Johnny V is the best jockey that's riding today, according to statistics of grade 1.
Statistically, sure, but age-wise, no. It's a young man's game at some
current
point.
Form, no. Current form, I'd say no. But I mean, so what? Again, this is like the LeBron James, Michael Jordan argument. It's like, how do you want to slice it up? Which way do you want to divide it to then make your point? So I'm saying Jose in my mind, Jose has always been just as good as Irad. Irad's had a slight nudge, bump up. I think he's had better opportunities on better horses. But I still think Jose is just as good of a jockey. Did he go through a slump? Absolutely. Did he cost me money? Absolutely. Did I write him off until he bounced back? Absolutely. But the move to Kentucky's got him some confidence now, and he's riding with the same confidence that Irad runs in New York, that he feels he can win every race. Jose feels he can win every race. And I think that's what makes you a good jockey. And then the statistics and the wins and hitting the board also helps out. So in that mode, every jockey goes through it, top ups and downs. Some are at the middle of the pack. I think Junior Alvarado's a great jockey. He doesn't win every race. He doesn't get great mounts, but he wins on a lot of high prices. Dylan Davis has proven that, if you look a couple of years ago, Dylan was winning races, but he wasn't dominating. He's dominated this year. I think everything falls in the line.
You'd still take those guys over Irad to give him the choice.
Now, who are we talking about? You're talking about Dylan Davis?
Any of those guys, Dylan Davis, Junior Alvarado, probably not.
The only jockeys I would take over Irad at this point would be Jose, Tyler in Kentucky, and that might be it. They may be the only two that I would take over. But they're situational. I think there's definitely opportunity where I would want somebody else other than Irad. So that's just that. I'm just giving you my honest opinion. But you think that's just because you would probably take him on any horse that you had?
I would.
I know.
I wouldn't even think twice about it.
Yeah, and he'll probably run fifth with your 8-5 favorite 5 times because he doesn't run horses the way he used to.
That's definitely not true.
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think he rides as hard. I don't think he rides as hard as he needs to.
Look at overall wins for Irad.
So you're on win statistic now.
I'm just saying. I mean, overall wins, he's in the upper echelon.
What's the percentage of wins versus starts?
I can't look at my phone. I'm using it to stream this, but yeah. I mean, I'm sure it's probably.
I'm going to pull up this data, and we're going to probably have a discussion later about it. But it's how many at bats do you want? I mean, the more at bats you get, the statistically you should be connecting with the ball at a higher percentage. Especially when you get the best horses in the races that you're running in. It's should be kind of easy. You should dominate the field. And I don't think he dominates to the extent that he should with his opportunities. Give those same opportunities to somebody else and give him the 8, 9, 10 to 1s and see what
I think you discredit how hard it is sometimes to ride some of these favorites too, though. They're not always just like the easiest road to win. Yeah, I think that there are some trouble trips in there that you just discredit because they're maybe
a good jockey. Favorite. A good jockey should know how to put himself in the right position.
You're right. A horse wouldn't just jump at the sign of a
shadow. Oh yeah, now it's the horse. Now we're down to the horse.
I think we're underestimating how hard it is to still win on the favorites, even though they're the favorites. There might be more pressure that riding the favorite than there is to riding just any other horse in the field. It's like playing a football game where you got nothing to win for. Hey, we're not making the playoffs. Where you just go out there and play freely, as opposed to I've got a 7-5 shot that I have to win on because it's a big race and all the owners and everybody spent a lot of money on the horse. I think there might be more pressure on riding the favorite than there is riding on some of these long shots that you're speaking of.
I won't discredit that. I've said before that they're the best athletes pound for pound. These guys, it's not an easy job. Riding horses is not easy, but if you're going to give the best opportunity, if you're going to give me the best horse in the race, it's my job then, or it's a jockey's job to put him in the right position so that he can win the race. If he's a front runner and needs to be on the front, you don't put him in the middle of the pack. You hustle him up and use him, and you burn out if you have to, but you're not going to run mid-pack and hope he changes his style all of a sudden and is a success being a closer.
Maybe we let the people decide. We'll see what the people say. We'll throw a poll out there. We'll throw the top 4 jockeys. Irad, Jose, Sias,
general
Tyler.
Public what they think about it. Yeah,
we'll see where they lie. You get to choose.
I think it's a question we ask some of the experts.
One jockey for your horse.
Handicappers.
I mean, they're on there. Most of them follow us. We follow them.
So, I know. We'll see. I'm fine with putting it out there. Irad's probably going to be selected in a landslide. I'm not saying that. I just gave you my opinion. You asked for it. I gave. There you go.
Did I ask for it? I don't even know how this came up.
You said you threw it out there. Rewind the tape. Everybody rewind the tape. Get started this. I'm done debating about Irad or Jose, and I'm going to go into Gulfstream. We're going to go to Saturday's card for tomorrow. We're going to do the pick five. So we're going to start in the seventh race here. First time going to Gulfstream. Backtrack, front end, I think is the best place to be, whether you're on dirt or the all weather. And I think you have an opportunity to come off the pace in some instances on the turf. And we'll get into a few of those situations today as we go through the handicapping. Seventh race, those mile on the 16th. We're going to start off with a maiden race here, 65,000 for maiden 2-year-olds. So not only is it a maiden race, we're going to go with 2-year-olds here. I'm going to stick with the inside post positions. Really going to start right with the 1. That's my top pick.
Thought you were going to go with the 2. Right
no, not going with the 2. Two's going to be. Matter of fact, I may even scratch the 2 off here now that I see I-Raids on. I'm going with the 1, Burnham Square. Last time out in a mile on the 16th at 120,000 maiden race. Just missed, making up a little ground. Was a little too far back. I think they need to hustle this horse up a little sooner. Get him a little more in the mix. Break it 8th and 9th. First two times out here. First time at a sprint. Second time at the mile on the 16th, like I said. Just really bad starts. A nice workout here. 5 furlongs in 1 minute and 1/5. That's a nice gate breeze. So I think that we're finally getting to the point where the horse is breaking a little better. But, hey, still an 89 speed figure last time out. Looking forward to improvement here. You're going from Arietta. You're getting Zayas for Ian Wilkes. I like the combination. We're adding blinkers. So we're kind of doing some things. We're upgrading the jockey. We're doing some things that, like, let's go ahead and right this ship. I think this one, the third trip, does it for him. I will take the 2 for second place because I-Red's not going to win with only this is a great first-time starter. Breeding suggests everything that we're looking for here as far as distance and surface should match pretty well. The dam stats here, we have 3 starts with 2 winners. Stakes placed. I actually like the 2, and I didn't like the workouts as great coming into the race. I like the workouts earlier on, maybe like in September and October. As we're coming into the race, they're a little lackluster, but they're I think just keeping it sharp and waiting for an opportunity. So big purchase price, two makes sense to hit the board. I read getting a good opportunity. And then I like the 3, What Me Worry. This is Raylu Gutierrez, another first-time starter. Same kind of situational here that we're talking about with the 2. Good breeding, suggests distance shouldn't be a problem. Have a stakes winner for the dam, two starters, 2 winners. Workouts, again, a little better earlier on. Not so good coming into the race, but and not as big of a purchase price as you're seeing with the 2. But I do like that as well. So I'm going to keep the 1, the 2, and the 3, and then last but not least, I'll go with the 5, which is Onrush, 79 speed figure on debut, dropping down in class from 111,000. Again, same thing, nothing spectacular on workouts here, but first time out, not bad. Second by a half length, kind of an even keel run, just could never get past and get the lead. Just stayed second, but the prime power is the strongest out of all the horses, and it has a really good late kick, which kind of got it there in the last race with the 83 late pace figure. So 5 seems to make sense as well. 1, 2, 3, 5. Those are my top 4, but it's kind of a crapshoot when you're talking 2-year-olds.
Yeah, kind of wide open. That's why I went with the experience and, the overall performance of jockeys on this one for my top pick. So I'd be IRAD with the 2. Only in America. I think you mentioned it already, but obviously the dam has some promising stats coming from their starters, right? 2 winners from 3 of their starters. Pretty big purchase price for this horse, right? $700,000 for a horse out of Constitution. And tis now breeding. So I think that there's something to be said there. I think the breeding really supports that this horse is going to be, maybe it's not this race, but at some point is going to be a monster. And I think is going to do some damage here in the field and against, this age group. 37 in 3 all the way back on October 25th. I like to see that from a workout perspective. Just shows that the horse is definitely capable of going out there and running fast, and beating out the rest of the people that worked out that day. So I think it's interesting. I think the workout regimen is very consistent. I don't think that they really had pushed this horse since then. Just trying to keep a very consistent workout regimen for is what it looks like. But again, when you pay that much for a horse and you're doing what you're doing, you're getting Todd Pletcher and IRAD teaming up in the winter meet. I'll throw it on top. I have your 1 underneath. I think everything you said there for Ian Wilkes, I think, there's a lot of things that are putting this horse in favor. It might go off as a favorite. There's just a lot of things that you can look at and say, yeah, this is the winning move or this is the winning choice, right? They get the rail, which is winning at a decent clip. They're dropping in class. They're getting the blinkers. They're dropping in class when, going from 120K, now you're dropping down to 65. and was competitive in that race. Very competitive. They almost won it. So I think there's a lot of things here that show that they should be very, very much capable of winning this race. But I'm just going to take a little bit of a more of a price and go with the first time starter on top. So I've got the 1 underneath. And then I've got the 5 on rush as well, just like you mentioned. I think last time, again, you're getting the drop in class, but I think last time they were just one pace that was on the all weather. It is difficult to make up ground and really put your foot in there and dig in sometimes, as we've talked with other jockeys. And it just seemed like in this race they were just one pace, but they were able to compete and keep up with a 23, and then kind of just kind of ran out of maybe a little bit of gas, but they were right there and they were competitive. They just didn't have enough to finish down the stretch. So Josie Carroll, she's very much, a Woodbine trainer. It seems like, a lot of her horses are up there, and, they definitely do well in the all weather, but when she makes the switch to dirt, she's got some very favorable stats. And I think, again, that drop in class is going to make a little bit of a difference as well. I think this horse is going to be very competitive, and you're getting Saez, who obviously is also a very good jockey. So I'm going with the 2 with the 1-5 in the first leg.
All right, so we're seeing kind of basically the same thing on that race.
Yeah, I just didn't have the 30. That's all.
Yeah, and I think, again, that's first time starter action there, and I think that's more for the underneath. I think it does come down to I think experience pays off in this race, and that's kind of why the reason I only have the 1 on top. I think it's a great opportunity for a first time starter to possibly win this race because it's kind of wide open. And I mean, you got to also consider that 5, that first time out, really battled the whole way, but coming from Woodbine and synthetic and going over to the dirt, it's just a lot of variables, which is why I kind of downgraded the 5 as well. But again, anything can happen. Anything can happen in these 2-year-old races. We'll go to the 8th race. We'll jump on board to the next leg here. 8th race is 5 furlongs. It's on the turf. It is the Abundantia Stakes. Hopefully I said that right. Fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and upwards. I actually think this may be a possible single. I got 2 singles actually on the card that I really like. This one's going to be one of them, the 12, Twirling Queen. This is Luis Saez for Jose D'Angelo. It just makes all the sense every time I start looking at these races and I'm looking at turf performances versus synthetic versus dirt races. I mean, it's worst race that you're going to see for this horse is a dirt race 2 back at Keeneland, but everything else on turf is just absolutely sensational. 21:44 is the fractions that this horse has been running down, and you're going to see that kind of pace early on. I think you're actually going to see a 21:23 and change being set from some of these middle inside speed horses. So I just think that 12 has the ability to go out there, add some high paces and fractions to be able to run down anybody in the stretch when it comes to the turf. So top pick, 12, no doubt. I do like the 1, Mrs. Gambolini. I actually just like the name. Reminds me of a song from the 80s too, Bob Dabalina. But Mrs. Gambolini, when you're talking about sprint races and you're talking about turf, typically I'd say off the pace would be great, but the rail's out at 73 feet here. So I think you have to be forwardly placed, and this one makes a lot of sense for only having 3 starts. I think it makes a lot of sense in the perspective of how the pace is going to play out and that rail position. So Tyler knows he's going to have to get out pretty early. The last workout on December 20th at 36-1, that's a nice freshening up that I'd like to see coming into this race. But a 95 speed figure last time out for a horse that won. Again, that was at Gulfstream Park. That was the first time shipping in from Kentucky Downs. So 2 times over the track, or 1 time over the track, 1 win. It's actually technically 2 times over the track. They have it listed incorrectly. 2 wins for Gulfstream Park. So I just think the 1 definitely plays in for such a small sample size. Fits in well from how the pace should set up for Zappy Joseph. The 5's going to be also tough. I do like Justa Care, Junior Alvarado. Only a couple of trips recently that I want to go off of. 2 back in the non-graded stakes race. Had to walk the horse, lost the rider, horse got walked off, and then comes back and wins the next race at 5.5 furlongs in a $120,000 allowance condition. So I like that a lot. Change of trainers. Now we're going over to Brian Lynch. I think this one is a good opportunity. The workouts have been really great too. 47 on the turf, 47-3 for a 4 furlong workout on December 13th. So I like that as well. That bodes well on my card. And then I'm going to go all the way to the outside and go with the 11 as another opportunity for a price that's moving up. So we're talking sprints here. The synthetic, not so much, but we're talking about the turf sprints that this horse has run so far this year, going back to February, March, and May. All 3 of those just very viable races. 50,000 claimers, 25,000 optional claimers, now up to 62 optional claimers. So the horse is moving up, but it also can run in those faster fractions and still be able to be there late. So I kind of like that aspect too from the 11 for any possibility of maybe like a tracking position if speed does falter, which I don't think it is with the rail out that far. So like I said, I'm going to take the 12 on top. I'll stick underneath the 1, which I think is probably maybe the more valuable asset would be the 1, but 12, 1, 5, 11.
Yeah, I went with the 12 as well. I think you're right. I think if there was a single, this is probably where I'm looking, at least giving a lot of look at. This horse is coming off of a very, very solid run, especially at Gulfstream, but in general, if you go back to February of this year, I mean, this horse is winning at an unbelievable clip. And then they obviously run the Raven Run at Keeneland and just did not do well. Obviously was not able to compete with that field. I guess I'm trying to say is it seemed like they're maybe a little bit outclassed there. It seems like
the bettors knew that. The bettors knew that. Raised 31-1. They knew he didn't have a shot, and they just gave it a roll.
I think just keeping this horse in ungraded stakes races, I think, is where you need to be here. I think graded stakes races where you get a little tricky and it gets a little touchy there. So if I were the trainer and I was the connections, I wouldn't try to switch it up too much. And this is exactly where I would put this horse back. I think Saez is going to do what he's done best on this horse. He's going to go out. He's going to run. He's going to stay very, very close. And then when time comes, he's going to tip off and he's going to end up winning this race. So I like the 12 a lot. I have your 1 as well. I think the 1 also is very interesting. I love Tyler on turf at Gulfstream. I think he's been doing really, really well out there, especially in the turf races. He knows when to pull the trigger and when he needs to go. This horse has definitely got the speed. It's also a horse that's just going to sit stalking and then, have to tip off whenever they're ready to go. Only thing against this horse, in my opinion, is just hasn't been really tested like the 12 has. It's not running in these crazy competitive races. Yeah, open company 25K taking steps up, compared to your maiden. But obviously, I would like to see a couple more races under their belt. And winning by 3 or 4 makes this a little bit more of a difficult choice for me if I see that they've won those types of races. But it is Safi and it is Tyler. Safi is having an unbelievable meet as always at Gulfstream, so it's a guy that you never want to count out or leave off your ticket. So I have the 1, and then the other one that I had is the 9. This is Eturian, and this is with Zayas and Joe Orsino. If you scratch that last race, this horse has done nothing but good in my eyes. Won 3 straight. They moved up to an allowance race and obviously faltered. But just didn't seem like it was really their race, and they end up easing up. Maybe something wasn't sound with the horse at that time. That was also at Keeneland. So Gulfstream, pretty great record, 3rd and then 3 straight wins. They moved to Keeneland, try to make some more money, and then end up, easing up and losing the race by 6 lengths. But I think, something to be said too with Zayas taking him out for Joe Orsino. Obviously, he rides a lot for Safi, but I mean, they can't really play that angle when you're getting Tyler out there. But something tells me that he's going to get just as many opportunities as everybody else, just because of how much work they do during the the off season. But I think this is a perfect distance for this horse. And again, I think 3 straight shows that this horse is really good at the distance at the track. It had some improving speed figures, upper 80s. I think it scratched the 90s if they run a really, really bang up race. But yeah, I'll have Zayas under the ticket as well underneath. So 12 with the 1-9 is where I landed.
Yeah, I like that. It kind of looks cookie cutter here from what we're talking about on the 12. The 4 is the horse that can actually set your fractions at 21.43 and probably will be. This horse only knows to go to the front and set the fractions, but it does falter late in a lot of these races at 5.5. So I'm looking for a speed and fade from the 4, and that's kind of why I left it off my ticket. I just don't see it lasting with this field size and this talent that's in here. But that 36 and 4 coming in kind of puts a stamp on that this 4 should be going to the front and set the pace. So we'll kind of see. And then I also thought that side note, the 6 shoot out the lights with John Velasquez, another horse that should be out there winging and also pressing the fractions early. That I also see faltering late. So a couple to also keep your eye on and check the odds on with the 4 and the 6 as well. We can go ahead and get on to the 9th race. 9th race is going to be a mile in the 16th. Now we're going to the Topeta. We're going to the all-weather here for a handicap for $100,000, purse of $100,000 for 3-year-olds and upwards. this is kind of one of those crapshoot races for me. So when I handicapped it, I was kind of looking for what looks best from horses in recent form on synthetic. That's going to be the 8 exact estimate for me. This is Tyler and Chad Brown. Horses really had 2 great races coming in, 3 improving speed figures, 89, 91, 92. Those last 2 being on synthetic where we're at. The workouts have been fantastic. December 2nd, 49-3 for 4 furlongs, another 49-2 for 4 furlongs on December 9th, and then 49-1 for December 19th. So as consistent as you can get as far as workouts are, from what you're getting from this horse, who looks to be pretty sharp and ready to go. That's kind of what gave this horse the edge for me. So I'm going to take the 8 on top. I did like the 1 American Speed with Jose Morales. This is another inside position. Last 2 on synthetic. They really look good. Last time being in a handicap race similar to this, same condition, and just faltered short a little bit. They kind of put a little more speed into the horse here. I like that 4 furlongs at 45-2 that was run December 15th. I think that kind of helps out to get that horse back in condition here, running an 89 and an 88, probably looking at that same kind of speed figure from this horse, right around 88, 89, possibly a 90 if it gets the edge and can sit up. But this horse really just likes to go, and he's really taken to the synthetic, I think, as the surface that they're probably going to stick with, especially when they're at Gulfstream Park versus the turf that they run on quite a bit. Also, I like the 5. The 5 is Fly the W. It's hard to get away from this horse. Horse has been really one of the better horses at Gulfstream Park. As far as you listen to Pete calling this horse down the stretch, it always seems to be in the mix. As far as why they don't run this horse on the turf all the time, I really don't know, because I think turf-wise it runs better than synthetic, and that's why I'm not giving it the nod today, although it's one of my favorite horses and it's been pretty consistent in its performance. But on synthetic, it still hits the board, and it's something you have to take into consideration. It's obviously Luis Saez getting them out this time. He's rode them a few times. You have to go all the way back till January of this year. The last time you rode them, which is, of course, at Gulfstream Park, but the wiring off the pace kind of move, sitting 4th, and then took the lead and then still faltered, losing by just a neck, coming in 3rd. But ever since then, this horse has been the odds-on favorite basically every single race. I just don't like him on the synthetic as much as I like him on the turf, so that's why I've downgraded it this time. Going to put him in the mix. You have to put him in the mix somewhere. And then I like the 9, kind of wrap up the exotics here in the verticals. Possiblemente. This is another one that I just really like, that since the recent form on synthetic has been really, really running great on turf as well. But on the synthetic, I like the speed figure improvement, especially last time with the 93. The distance seems to be well. They moved it up to handicap 100,000 last time, and it ran very well on 1 with Reyes, and you're getting Leonel Reyes again. So I like the jockey returning, so it bodes well for me as well. So that's how I'm going to wrap it up here. Tough race to really handicap and pick from top to bottom, but I'm going to go 8 with a 9 as my second choice, then 1-5.
Yeah, I struggled with this one as well. I feel like half the field in this one, so I landed as a 9 as my top choice, and just for the simple fact that I see some moderate consistency from the horse, and running a similar race last time out, they won by 2.5. Reyes had the mount for the first time. They won. I thought that was interesting as well, right? He's getting back aboard. He knows how to win on the horse already. If they do exactly what they did last time, they're going to be a hard combination to beat here. I think working out well, doing everything you want to see. And like I said, just the last 3 races, they kind of turned a page. You could even say the last 4 or 5 races, if you go all the way back, because they finished second in a couple of those. But, getting the job done in 2 of its last 3 races. And I think that's something to be said there. And obviously you can take the trip over the surface, as won twice over the surface in 4 attempts. So, and hit the board in the other attempt. So I think there's something to be said there. I think you're getting a decent price there as well. I've got the 1, so American Speed. If there's a thing about Jose Morelos at Gulfstream, it's he loves to steal races like crazy. If he can get out on the front end and speed out there, and he has an opportunity, he's going to do that. Anytime I've had, a horse in the game, this guy is the one that always ends up burning my ticket up, because he goes out there and just, nobody wants to run with the speed horse. And next thing you know, he's holding on and he's winning at a huge price too. So, this is exactly what the horse does. It goes out, it runs, it gets the lead. Looks like sometimes it falters late, just runs out of gas. But if it does stay out there and run what it's run in the last 3 races, also going to be very competitive, very difficult to beat. Also, if you look at the workouts, 45-4, that's absolutely blazing. You know, there's a couple 46s out there, and you know, I would not be surprised if this horse is running a, you know, 23-22 in this race. Obviously, very capable of doing that.
Hmm.
And if nobody goes with, it might be see you later. So I wanted to leave it on the ticket. I also have the 8. I have the 4 and the 8, but I have the 8. Just like you said, Tyler, Chad Brown. I mean, this horse also very, very good in the last 4 races. Scratching the 90 speed figure at similar class out of Into Mischief. You know, this horse has a lot of pluses if you look at it on the form. It is Chad Brown. He's going to be turning it on, I'm sure, very soon here at Gulfstream, and getting his horses ready, but also very good workouts leading into the race. Favorable stats, obviously, at Gulfstream, 1 for 2. You know, with the others start hitting the board. So I have that one. And then, sorry, I had the 4 as well. Yamato. I think this is a horse too that we've talked about many times. You know, and last time out at Gulfstream Park with Sammy Camacho aboard, they won by 3. Open company 62K. I think this horse is obviously one to keep your eye on. We've seen it, you know, multiple times where this horse has just kind of run off and kind of blew away the field. And I think is still capable of a run like that, you know, and
Hmm.
yeah, I mean, Zayas is going to get aboard for Michael Maker. The only thing that kind of made me scratch my head is why is Zayas getting the mount for Mike Maker and not an IRAD Jose Zayas, which makes me think maybe they're just a little bit outclassed, but could be an upsetter in the field. But nonetheless, I'll have it on my ticket. 9 with the 1, 4, and 8 in this leg.
I like that. The 8 really seems to be the one that would go with the 1. Those seem like the 2 that would probably, if anyone's going to contest the 1, it would be the 8 early,
Yeah.
which really doesn't bode well for our tickets if both speed are out there. It does set up well for the 9 and maybe your 4 coming off the pace, or maybe Fly the W, which is a possibility. So
Fly
kind
the
of a race.
W. Fly the
Yeah.
W has fallen off for me. As much as I love the horse,
Hmm.
obviously you can see on the ticket. I watched a couple of the races. Um, when this horse had who was it on? Oh, it was so Zayas was, yeah, when Zayas was riding the horse, obviously it was doing very well. Um, you know, the horse is in good form, but I mean it's definitely hitting the board. I think underneath is definitely where I play it.
Hmm.
I just have a hard time putting this horse for first because they haven't won since August. Um, you know, and they were trying pretty hard, and those are at obviously you know, I don't think the toughest of fields, right? They're running
Yeah.
at Gulfstream Park when everybody else and all the big horses are everywhere else. So they're trying really hard for these races and trying to get the wins there. I just think they're a little bit outclassed, um, you know, as of late. I don't know if it's an age thing or if it's just, you know, I don't know
Yeah.
what it is, but I did like betting the horse at one point. That's when it was winning, and then now it's just got seconditis and maybe just scratching the board. But
Well, to answer your question, you got Irad and Pletcher obviously teaming up, and you got Gaffleone and Chad Brown teaming up. That's and then you got Zayas going to the Mike Maker horse, which you picked Yamato. So that only leaves Zayas to take Fly the W. So I mean, you
yeah,
know, if you're going through the gauntlet here, Bobby DeBona, he couldn't get Zayas, and you know everybody else is going to their main trainer connections. Zayas isn't the worst horse to or jockey to have on your horse either. We'll see if Fly the W can do anything or bounce back. It's a very tough race, probably a very good opportunity for an all button if you're playing the horizontals, at least for my
yeah.
suggestion. Going to the 10th race, 10th race, 7 furlongs, the grade 3 Mr. Prospector, purse of $165,000 for 3-year-olds and upwards. This one isn't a cakewalk either. This was a very tough race for me. I'm going to go with the 9, though, as my top pick. Wasn't easy, but I'm going to go with the Luminaire. This is Louis Saez and Todd Pletcher. Workouts recently really are the key factor here for me. Last time out, claiming 62,000, coming off a non-graded stakes race and a 4th place finish with Saez. The workouts are just kind of where I want him to be for this horse. Lightly raced, only 4 times out. December 13th, 1 minute and 4/5 for 5 furlongs, and then a nice 49, kind of a nice, easy, soft 49 for 4 furlongs coming in last time out for its workout. So given the fresh number 9, Illuminaire, with a horse that's just got a ton of talent and a ton of early positioning, which is where I would want to be in this race. It's 7 furlongs. It's not quite the longer routes, but this horse's wheelhouse is 7 furlongs, 6, 7 furlongs. So I think it's also the distance specialist in this race. So I'm going to take a little chance and go with the 9 on top. I'd be crazy not to put a White Barrio in there, so I will. Irad Ortiz. The White Barrio could possibly win this race. It probably should in most cases. I'm trying to beat the probably odds-on favorite here, and I'm not even going to go into details on the 10. No sense, no need to. But a workout for 3 furlongs and 35 and 2 shows me that White Barrio is right exactly where he needs to be. So 9-10 definitely top 2. If I'm looking for prices to hit the board, I'll go with the 5 Real Macho. I think that's another one opportunity here. This is Yaramio has an opportunity on this horse. Kind of going to be coming off the pace, and that's what you're going to want to try to do if you're going to try to win this race from the 2 speedsters that I already mentioned that I think will be out there winging, with possibly a couple others. So it sets up nice for the 5 Fias, the ability to close the gap. The workouts on December 1st, 1:02 for 5 furlongs, and just coming in 47-1 for 4 furlongs on a gate work. I really like that as well. So for a price, I'll take the 5 hitting the board, and then I'll also take his counterpart here, the 6 Mufasa, right next. He hasn't run since the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile opportunity, where was 11th out of 13th horses. Didn't really do much. Stayed 4 lengths was the closest it got in that race for a mile at Del Mar. And, prior to that coming in, looked like it was probably a horse that could be a contender in the race, but just didn't factor in when it came to the big Grade 1 race. A lot of time off. The workouts are really good, though, coming in. Horse looks like it's really fit and sound. Maybe you want to see one. Maybe this is the one you want to see. Maybe a 3rd, 4th position is what they're looking for to get to the next opportunity. But again, 47-2 for 4 furlongs, and then 1:01 on last time out on December 21st. Those are back-to-back workouts. Sports looks really, really sound and fit. So definitely want to have that on your ticket. That's Tyler. That's Ignacio Carreras. That's kind of where I see my ticket. Top 2 make a lot of sense. 9 and 10, 5 and 6 for the price.
The 10. The 10 is going to win. I think this is my. If I had, well, we gave you a single earlier. I think is a single at least, and I think this is the 2nd single if you're trying to go very skinny. Once they got back to form here, obviously they ran the Grade 1, did not do well. Safi got the horse back. Irad obviously was riding this horse already, but Irad rode this horse first back at Gulfstream. They won with ease, probably the easiest race Irad has won in a long time. This horse is very, very good. I think this is a perfect field, perfect spot for them. Back at Gulfstream, obviously the success that this horse has had at Gulfstream is crazy. I mean, 6 or 7, and each race that they win just seems more and more dominant. I think they're training in the right direction. Obviously, it went from a 90 speed figure in the Grade 1 at Saratoga to 103, so back to form exactly where they need to be. This would be my other single in the leg. I'm not going to spend too much time on it. I just think it's the best horse. Irad has ridden 3 other horses in this race, and he obviously chose to go with White Barrio. That's sense. Where his bread's buttered. So yeah, that's where I'm going. I'm not going to go very thick in this race. I think it's just after them. I think it's really a 2-horse race in my opinion. I like the 6, like you mentioned, Mufasa. Very much a competitor. Obviously, the last race was not good, but that was a Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile. You're going against some very, very big players in the game. But if you look at the start prior to that, in the Grade 3, ran 100 speed figure off of a win and got the job done, won by 4.5. So very competitive, very good. Looks like the East Coast is kind of where they do their best work, but coming down to Florida, maybe they'll get some success there. And then I also have the 9. Illuminaire, obviously Sias, Todd Pletcher. I think Todd Pletcher is also going to have a very, very good year at Gulfstream, as always, for the winter meet, but coming out their best speed figure, right? I mean, they scratched the 90s and then they bumped up all the way to 103. Again, you had Irad aboard. So I think that, again, like I said, speaks for the 10, but ultimately, ran their best race and is training very, very well going into this race. So Todd Pletcher's got some good stats and has no issue with shipping horses to Gulfstream and winning races. So 3 for 4 for that horse. I think, again, very competitive. If I wanted to get really, cute, I would probably just go 10-9 in this race, but I'll throw the 6 in there just at a decent price as well. So 10 with the 6-9.
Yeah, it's going to be tough to beat White Barrio. I'm sure we don't even have to call Mike right now or anytime. I'm sure he's got White Barrio horse. I'm sure he's looking for that to be on top. I'm sure that's his single too. It's going to be a lot of people's single, so it makes a lot of sense. I think the 9 could be a competitor though. And I think it would be I think you're looking at 9, 10, 10, 9. I think it's your top two opportunities. And you can definitely get some price horses in there because 10's going to go off real short. Let's finish it up. 11th race, a mile on the turf. It's an optional claiming 25,000 condition, purse of 61,000 for fillies and mares 3 years old and upwards, which have never won 20,000 once other than maiden claiming starter restricted, or which have never won 2 races or a claiming price of 25,000. Crazy enough, this is where I actually have my last top pick. So your other top pick was White Avaria, which makes a lot of sense. Mine's going to be this race, the 11 Candy Gray, top pick by far. Listen, if you're looking at the body of work here, just every other race, you need to just go ahead and scratch off. Anything that's on the dirt, you can go ahead and remove, and everything else you'll see there is that the horse likes to be on the front end. And that's what you're going to get with Zayas here for Safi on this one. So I like that the two are teaming up for this race together. I like when Zayas and Safi have an opportunity together. When they do, obviously 51 times out, 27 wins, 45% in the money. And this is a horse I think has a great potential. The December 13th workout, that was a 46-4. It's a really strong workout on the turf for 4 furlongs. And then a 48-1 just coming in, nice breeze for 4 furlongs last time out on the dirt. So dropping in class, what more could I ask for? Drop in class, Zayas teaming back up with Safi. Every time he rides it, it gives it the best round. It's back on grass. The workouts are great. Yeah, that's going to be my top pick. And I'm sure there's some others in here I'm going to give you for pricing, but that would be my other single if I was going anywhere else. Underneath, in no really specific order, the 4 Catalyze I like with Tyler Gaffalione, Chad Brown. It's another one that just broke its maiden last time out. Leo Toro, which is the 5. This is Drayden Van Dyke shipping in here for a horse who's going to ride for Brian Lynch. This is another one that when it rides the turf, the horse is competitive on dirt. Not so much. It was running at Indianapolis in a winter race, but I don't really hold a lot of stock in that race where the Declan Cannon went on that race. And you're getting Drayden Van Dyke, who's actually been riding really good since he's been in riding for at Gulfstream. So kind of a resurgence for him and his opportunities. So I did like that underneath, and I think the 9 also has a shot underneath Novara. I didn't like the fact that it took 9 opportunities, 6, 7 opportunities for it to break its maiden. But it does have a nice closing kick. It's had Luan Machado on the last couple times, and it broke its maiden last time out of Indianapolis. And now it's getting an opportunity here with Junior Alvarado for Brandon Walsh. So I think they shift this horse down. The workout 59-2 is really strong on the turf. So I like that as an underneath play. Not even near my top, but and I think there's a couple others here that you could throw in there for a late price, possibly the 10 Typee as well. But you got to come off the pace because I think the 11 is going to go out there and wing it and just basically take the lead and draw off. So 11, 5, 4, 9, all at this point.
Yeah, I've got the 4. I've got this is the Tyler Chad Brown connection here. I don't think that they're going to get the success early or the race prior, so I think they're going to get the success here. To finish off the day. They just broke their maiden. Obviously, Dylan Davis rode was very much right with the pace the entire race, and then ended up getting the head down first. But again, I mean, for a horse that was tested the entire way, pretty much ran the 22:48 all the way down and finished the race off. I think this horse is pretty fast and pretty game down the stretch where they can be contested. But I think they're going to go out there. I think they're going to set the fractions. And you're going to get a very competitive horse out of the 4. Typically I'm not a big fan of betting after you break your maiden, but I think that the way Tyler's riding on the turf, I will throw it on my ticket as a possible shot there to win. I've got the 1 Aspen Dawn. So this one hasn't shown much in the record books, but I think Yaramio, when he teams up with Mark Cassie, is also something to watch out for. He does ride very, very well for this horse. A very solid purchase price of $550,000 for this horse. I think if you look all the way back in August 16th of last year at Colonial Downs, they came from very far back. I think if Yaramio puts his horse a little bit closer and maybe more mid-pack instead of last, they could see some success, especially if there's some fast fractions at the front end, which I think you might get. They can eat into it and end up closing and possibly win the race. But again, you can't be coming back from 9 back. I think that's too much ground to make up, especially at the mile. I think there's just too much distance to cover at that point. So I think if you can sit this horse, 4th or 5th, or maybe sit maybe 5-ish, 6 lengths off at most, you'll be able to close and make it interesting down the stretch. But again, if you're 9 lengths off, it's going to be very difficult for you to come back and win this one. So I like the 1. I also like the 11. I think the 11 also, like you said, is very solid. There's something to be said. Yeah, they're not getting the exact result that they want all the time, but they're very competitive. I think, again, another horse that can close, or can just sit just off the lead. Depending on what trip they get or what trip they decide, I think Zayas and Safi teaming up here to end the day will be very profitable, at least hitting the board. I think a very solid chance to hit the board, especially with the drop in class. So could be a very easy win for them with the drop in class, but also can see them, making the splash late. But yeah, we'll see. I went pretty easy in this one. Like I said, only 3 choices with the 4 at the 111.
Yeah, and the 11's getting Lasix again. Not that I see that it really was a factor in its first time in the medicine, but if it can only help, then maybe that's something that you're seeing in the workouts as well. But difficult race overall. Challenging kind of card. That's kind of what you expect when you're talking Gulfstream, especially in these championship meets. You're going to expect a lot more of that, a lot of big racing coming from. But that is your pick 5. Obviously, kid, you had a good Christmas. Hope our viewers and listeners all had a good holiday as well. Last podcast for the year. So any final thoughts for the year, next year?
No. Continue our winning ways into next year, and hopefully start off or end the year with a bang with a nice pick 5 here. Hopefully, pick up some extra cash here before the new year. Other than that, continue our winning ways on 2025.
One more tax form for the end of the year. That's what I'm looking for.
Exactly.
It's been a good year overall. Really, all of our guests that we've had on throughout the year, kind of set that out on our Twitter, and thanked everybody for that. This year, trying to do the same. I think the focus for next year, obviously, we've switched over here to the video as well. I think we're going to kind of move forward and stay on that trend. Still carry the audio and the video. That's the plan. Just keep rolling for year 5, right? More guests.
That's right.
Bring on some returning guests. We got some big races coming up, so looking forward to the upcoming year and another year with you on the mic and handicapping some races. So it's been a great year. I appreciate all your time and appreciate all of our listeners as well. That's it, I guess, for the end of the year, last podcast of the year for myself and the kid. Wish everybody a safe and happy New Year's. And until next year, we'll see you. Kid, have a good day.
You too.